Hey guys, it's a beautiful day in Florida, and I thought I could do a video outside. And I guess all the other Floridians, including squirrels, my cat, birds, they are out enjoying the beautiful weather as well. But I wanted to revisit some of my video from last week. And when I talked about the story of having clients, and I made this story about kind of encompassing different stories I've heard from clients throughout the years. But I talked about how I've had people, have their family force them into making amends, fake amends, with their abuser. And so I got to thinking about it. Oh, now we've got a beautiful songbird going, or it might be a mockingbird. I don't know. Anyway, sorry for the distraction. So, anyway, I got to looking into it and thinking about, what does happen when people rationalize that they should, force a victim in their family into making amends, false amends, forced into it. It's not real amends, but, what happens when people do that? What are they thinking? So I immediately thought of like ambush predators, and what's an ambush predator? A really good example would be a spider. They make a web and they wait on their victim, and um, the rest of that. So what I was looking into, I found this podcast. This woman named Tanya Luna. She started a company called Surprise something. Anyway, I will link her video down in the description. But she talks about the surprise sequence. And what happens when someone is surprised is you have this neuro alert. When you hear the word neuro, always think of your brain. So your brain's on alert, and it says pay attention. And so that immediately hijacks our thinking. If you think of someone that's had a surprise party, they just are still. There's this point. There's about a 1/25th of a second where we are completely frozen. So if you see someone walk in that's having a surprise party, they do freeze. There's this flash of, oh, what's going on? They scan the room. They determine, are they safe? And actually, all of our emotions are intensified by about 400%, according to Tanya Luna. And so her company that she started, it tries to embrace surprise and how that can help you grow. But that's kind of really pointed out to me what's happening to people when you go into a room, especially if it's something as emotional as the death of a loved one, and you go in and there's your abuser. You're expecting to already encounter something that's going to be highly emotional, but now you're faced with your abuser. And so I wrote a few things down in my mind. What makes these family members that they're suddenly using the ability to be an ambush predator, to lay in wait, to use strategy to force someone into doing what they want. What are they doing? So, I really thought about it. And in my opinion, the strategy is first to distract. They know that the family member is going to come in here very distracted. They're going to not be expecting, certainly, to have your abuser pop out from behind a curtain or to just be standing by, the bedside of your dying loved one. So the feelings that you would have going into this would already be, kind of the grief cycle of disbelief and anger and panic and despair and bargaining and guilt. And now you go in there and you've got this element of surprise that your family or whomever, friends, trusted colleagues have now sprung upon you this expectation. And so, you're the prey in this situation. You're already very close to the web. So the ambush predators have gotten you very close to that spider's web. So it's a lot easier to push you in it where you're trapped. And then, in the event, especially in the story that I came up with, the only escape is the door. But by the time you get into the room far enough, very much can feel that you're surrounded and there is no escape. And your only way to survive is to acquiesce and do what you're being asked. So you reach your hand out and you shake hands of the person that abused you and provide forgiveness. And so when those feelings are now magnified by 400%, this is why we start to hear, why did they wait until I was in such a low place already? Well, because humans are not so much rational beings as we are rationalizing. And we want to do what we want to do. So even though, we might at some point think this isn't fair to happen to us, if it's a situation where we believe the ultimate good would be for our dying loved one to see these two, forgive one another and move on so that you can die in peace, that is what people will believe they should do, and they rationalize it, and they do force their family members into doing this. Now, it may not be so dramatic as my story. It might be, forcing you to take a position at work you don't want, or accepting, something of a negotiation that you don't agree to. It can be very minor things, but it's the same kind of cycle. And that's why it is so devastating, and why the pain feels so much worse than if it had just been, going to say goodbye to your loved one. Now you've got this added immense emotion behind it, to where now you also have to overcome the feelings of being forced into this by family. So, and I guess that the point I'm trying to make is that when this happens, you've now survived being ambushed by the people that are supposed to love you. You've gone through the surprise sequence, which is really very interesting science. I recommend you really listen to the talk. It's only like 8 minutes, but she really does lay out pretty well what's going on when you have your thinking hijacked. You have that pause, and you're looking for the escape. I took the escape, but she really does see surprise as a good thing, and it is. I mean, it can very well be a very good thing. However, in this type of situation, it's not. So what can you do to protect yourself? You can bring a loved one. If you don't have a loved one that's gonna, watch out for you, they're in situations, especially like described, is like being in a hospital or hospice. Get a social worker. Social workers are trained to honor your self-determination. So if the social worker detects that, hey, this person doesn't seem to want to make amends with this person, they can step in. When you know that situation is going to be hard, when you know your emotions are almost not your own, it's okay to take backup and to have friends and trusted loved ones, a spouse, a best friend. And that way you protect yourself. I will finish up with some of the other concepts. I was thinking about 3 or 4 more videos to where I can kind of dissect that last video from last week and kind of go over some of the things. But today, kind of was, that way that we gaslight victims in our society. So hope this clarified some things for you. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments.